Hello, welcome to Euro Hockey Hub. My name is Mark, and today we're going to embark on our new journey with this podcast and channel. We have our first interview, and that is with no other than Mr. Ty Loney. Welcome, and thank you for agreeing to come on to my first ever interview with the Euro Hockey Hub. How are you?
Good, Mark. Thanks for having me on. Happy to be here. Have a good conversation. See where it goes.
Happy days. Well, honestly, I can't thank you enough. It's quite coincidental. You kind of joined Vienna not Vienna, Austria, as I was also moving to Austria. So I've kind of followed your career quite closely over the 5 years that you're in the league. So I just wanted to start off. You were born in Valencia in Pittsburgh, is that correct?
Yeah, born in Pittsburgh. Lived in Valencia, PA for most of my life. We were in a little different suburb. Born in Pittsburgh, but whenever we were like seven or 8 years old, moved to Valencia and lived there till I was about 18.
Is that your home to this day when you would return from Austria? Is this your nesting ground?
It's where my parents' home is right now. We live in Cranberry Township, which is a little bit north west of where I grew up. Not far though. Yeah, it was my parents. They in like 2000 or 99 bought an old country kind of farmhouse sort of, and we grew up there with a good bit of land around us, just having fun and doing some work outside.
Well, I'm going to get cut to the chase. I'm going to go straight into it. What age did you actually start playing hockey?
Probably four. I think I started skating like on the ice for the first time at 2.5, maybe
Well,
three. Um, but I think really started. I think my first hockey team was maybe the age of 4.5 or five, something, four to five.
I wanted to ask, what is it like growing up? What was the day in a life like in the Loney household? Because you have your father, you have a brother called Reed, and you have another brother,
Yeah, Clint,
Clint. Clint, I'm terrible with names. I do apologize.
no problem,
So, yeah,
no
what
worries.
was it like growing up around three guys that love hockey?
It was amazing. I mean, we had a lot of fun every day. We were shooting pucks in the basement, playing hockey outside, playing mini hockey. A lot of hockey all the time. We played pretty much every sport you could most days. Hockey, lacrosse, baseball, football, whatever it was, basketball. We were doing something outside. But hockey has always been the most fun I think that we've enjoyed doing together and playing. So always had somebody to play with, which was really nice. And never a dull moment. And happy that my parents allowed us to be yeah, a little ruckus maybe in the basement there playing, having some fun.
Did you always think you were going to play hockey, or was there another sport that you thought, "Ooh, I'd like to give that a go"?
No, definitely hockey. Everything was always secondary off of hockey. It's basically whenever hockey season ended, then there was something else you could do to kind of supplement in. But hockey was always number one.
Nice. So going back to your brother Reed, I think you played together. Is it Pine Richland High?
Yeah, my sophomore year, I think it was my sophomore year, his senior year, we played. I played for high school for a year. We didn't play on the same line, which I can't, still to this day can't believe our coach didn't put us on the same line. But we lost in the state finals. We had won. I think that was our only shift the whole year, and he scored. I got an assist, and I think that's the only time we played with each other the whole year. We got smoked. We lost like 7-1, but he scored and I assisted.
They maybe should have used that line a bit more. If it's proven, if he got a death ball and he got the goal, then it was proven.
We had a good team, but the team we played against was better.
You also played juniors with the is it Mahoning Valley Phantoms and the Pittsburgh Hornets, AAA?
So the Mahoning Valley Phantoms was like youth hockey. We were 16U or 17U for a couple of years under that, like 14 to 16. Put a couple of years there. When that is in Youngstown, and then senior year of high school, I was playing 18U AAA for the Pittsburgh Hornets, and then I broke my wrist, missed like half the year, then came back. We had a really good team. Played pretty well, then got kind of called up, finished the year in the USHL with the Youngstown Phantoms, and then played for the Youngstown Phantoms that following year.
How was it playing for the Youngstown Phantoms? I've met one of their future draft picks, Adam Benark of Czechia, Czech Republic. I've always wanted to visit.
Okay.
I watched a few of the highlights. How was your experience there?
It was a good group of guys. I mean, we had a lot of fun for sure. I think it was maybe a bit too much of a misfit of guys. Maybe more fun and less focused on actually the hockey side of things. So we had a good team and a good roster, but we definitely underperformed, I think. Actually, Yuri Sakach, who was one of my good friends on that team, he's a Czech guy. So he played with me in Youngstown as well. And yeah, it's I mean, it's a tough city. It is a tough city, Youngstown, but the rink was really nice. And it would have been nice to make playoffs, make a push, but it was a good experience learning what else was out there and the level of hockey that was.
And from your junior experience, what would you say was your fondest memory, and what was the best piece of advice that you took as a junior?
Fondest memory in juniors. I don't know. Maybe just being able to, you know, whether this was good or bad, you didn't have to. I wasn't in school. I was only playing hockey, so it was just hockey every day. Go up the rink and practice was over, and you could just kind of mess around after practice, work on different things, and just have fun. A lot of bus trips. Um, it was an interesting time. It was fun, but the takeaway probably biggest takeaway was um, there could have been a lot more time to work a little bit harder and work on some specific skills instead of just trying to have fun all the time. So if I were to go back at that 17, 18-year-old Ty, I probably would have said, hey, just enjoy it, but also let's build some foundations here. But it was good, and I'm glad I got to meet the people I did, and I'm glad it went that way.
Now, I haven't asked you, do you have an NHL team? Is it the Penguins?
Yeah, I think it has to be. Growing up, it was always the Pens, of course.
Yeah.
So now it'll be interesting to see kind of what they do here moving forward. But I really just, my son loves the Pens. Obviously, he's been able to go to a few games, but he's in love with hockey. But now I think I just like to watch hockey at most any level. I appreciate the NHL, just how good those guys are. But I just like to watch whatever teams are playing, whatever night. If I have a chance, I'll just turn it on because I just love the sport.
Did you have a particular favorite player growing up?
Alexei Kovalev.
Nice answer.
Yeah, he was so good, so skilled.
To add on to that, in today's era, who would be your favorite NHL player? It's a tough one.
Who I like to watch. I think he's so smart and so good is Reinhardt. He's
Yeah.
so just good at hockey. He just knows how to play the game. He's so smart, gets in the right spots. But obviously, you watch McDavid, McKinnon, Draisaitl, Makar. Just what those guys are able to do is it's almost impossible. So watching them play is so cool because you can't do it's not it's almost impossible what they do. So to watch them play is great because they're just able to do actually 10 times. They're able to do the
It's
impossible.
scary, isn't it? It's scary when you see them
Yeah, I
stand
don't know how
moves.
the guys play against it. It's impressive.
So we're now going to move on to your career in the NCAA. So you moved over after being with the Youngstown Phantoms, sorry, and then you made 152 appearances for the University of Denver. How did you
Mhm.
find that experience moving to Denver, and what did you think about the hockey there? That seems like a
It was
great place to play hockey.
it was a great place to play hockey. Yeah, great teammates. My first 2 years I had George Gwozdecki. My last 2 years I had Jim Montgomery as my coach. Good coaches, great teammates. Met a lot of good people there. I mean, it's an amazing city, great state. It was pretty eye opening, I think, for me my freshman year because I was healthy scratched for I think the first seven, in and out of the first seven of whatever 20 games. Fourth line, not really playing too much, so that was a bit eye opening realizing the level of play there. But it was fun. The WCHA my first 2 years was solid. Some really good rivalries there against North Dakota. We got to play against Wisconsin and those big schools, so that was a blast. Um, and then we switched over to the NCHC my last 2 years, and that was really fun too. So it was just great hockey night in and night out. And I think I just maybe didn't realize in the moment how good it was and how how special it was, because I think I was a little ignorant to that. But looking back on it, it was a great time.
Yeah, it certainly looks like a fun spot, and I've watched some great videos of you as a junior there. It's hilarious. Do you ever look back on these
Yeah.
videos on YouTube, have a chuckle with some
No, but
friends?
it's just embarrassing.
Was Denver your first like kind of taste of success? I mean, you won your division if I'm correct, and you were also in the all tournament team.
Junior year, I think we went to the WCHA, the Final Five. I think my first 2 years. We didn't. But then my junior year, we won the inaugural season of the NCHC. We won that, and that was awesome. That was fun. That was really cool to win that year. I think that was like the NCHC tournament. I made like the team or whatever. But I played with, like I said, great players. I mean, Trevor Moore was my line mate, and he's obviously been in the NHL for the last 10 years. And
Yeah.
Dan Doremus was my centerman, and he was just a solid two-way player. So I was playing with two really good players. But it was cool to win that first year, because that was really my first actual taste of success, I think.
Okay, actually, so in your last year with the University of Denver, I think it's 2014-15, you actually got given your first AHL call up with the Norfolk Admirals. You played 5 games and registered 2+2. What did you learn from this experience getting the call up to the A, and what did you take away from it as you went on to continue your pro hockey career?
I had a great experience. I mean, I met some people on that team that I still am in contact with this day. There was the team was so bad. They were dead last in the American League, so there was no pressure. I guess I can just say that. Like it was just go play, and I learned that I definitely could play at that level, which was it was eye opening for me. I think in a good way, that I knew I was ready for it. So that was a great experience for me. I felt like I was definitely ready to take a step into that. But and there's people get talk about this all the time in interviews. But you realize you're playing against like men, dads who have families, so they don't really care about what they're playing for a reason, not just to have fun anymore. So that was a big change in seeing that in guys, like why they're at the rink. So that was pretty eye opening.
And I have to mention this because he's such a good player. You played with Shay Theodore.
Yeah, he was there for a few weeks.
That
Unbelievable
must have been
skater.
something.
Well, he was on that team. I think his skating, like Brandon Montour was on that team. His skating was
Oh,
unbelievable too. Those
yes.
guys were just like caught because they were with the Ducks. So, but yeah, those guys were their skating was just incredible. And they weren't even. I don't even think they had played a year pro yet. I think they were just call ups like me. But right away, their skating abilities were just way past everything else that was there. It was pretty impressive.
Watching them then, did you know, like, yeah, they're going to be in the show?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was pretty obvious that those guys, like how hard they worked and just how naturally gifted they were. It was a good combination.
For the following season, you had time split between the AHL with the Wilkes Barre Scranton Penguins and the Wheeling Nailors, if I
Mm-hmm.
love that name, of the ECHL. What was the most notable difference between the two leagues? I know it's kind of stating the obvious when you've got guys in the A that may have dropped down from the NHL or
Mm-hmm.
trying to get that contract in the NHL, but what were
Yeah,
like the noticeable differences between the two leagues?
probably just the top end, uh, just the depth maybe in the top end talent. I mean, a lot. Sometimes the ECHL can be really really solid, and there's a bunch of guys sent down from the American League, and it's just high quality hockey. And then other times throughout the year, everyone in the ECHL is called up to the American League because there's injuries in the NHL and the AHL. So the quality of hockey can take a pretty big dip in the ECHL. But I would say that the hunger in the American League of guys that are this close to to their dream of playing in the NHL is, I mean, there's a lot of guys in the American League that could for sure be playing in the NHL. I think it's just a numbers game. They're just not for whatever reason. And then the ECHL is a little bit more of a relaxed, you know, environment for the most part. So the biggest difference is probably the competitiveness of, if you're in the American League, some teams it can turn a little bit selfish because guys want so badly to make it to the NHL. And
Yeah.
I think that doesn't necessarily happen in the ECHL because everybody kind of wants to go somewhere. So it was two different feels about it for sure.
With the travel must have taken some on you as well, because I believe it's the buses with the AHL and the ECHL. The travel must
Yeah,
take a lot of toll on the body.
just the travel was, it depends what team you have, what you do. I mean, in the ECHL, like the bus trips, it was we would play, drive 6 hours for Friday, drive 6 hours back on for a game on Saturday, then drive 8 hours for another game on Sunday at like noon. So it was just insane. It was ridiculous. But if you had a good group and you had a group of guys that like to play cards and hang out, it made it a lot better. But
It's
if
where
you
the
were,
bonding happens.
exactly, if you're in the American League though, like for me, and I was kind of always trying to make it, and you were just, you were getting sent down the next day or whatever, then the bus trips were not as fun. It was not as enjoyable.
Was the Wheeling Nailors your first professional playoff experience?
Yeah.
How did you find that? How intense was it in comparison to the regular season? Was it as much as you would have thought?
You know what? We had such another misfit, unique, um, gosh, character of players on that team that it was such a like a gong show, but in a way that worked. And I think the guys that played for that team would probably respect that and agree with that. I'm not saying it necessarily negatively. It was just such a group of characters that bought in. And I mean, I don't know if I necessarily felt the pressure because I feel like as a group, we were so loose every day on and off the ice. The camaraderie and team building was so high that I don't think the pressure really, I don't think guys felt it. I mean, I maybe I was just because it was my first year, I didn't understand it to feel it either. That could have had a lot to do with it. But we were just good. We had good players. We had not solid uh, coaching necessarily, but we were just a good group of guys that was having fun and just kind of kept winning games.
So 2016-17, you actually you started with the, I'm going to get this name wrong, Adirondack Thunder.
Yep, yep,
Yeah, it looks like a beautiful location as well. So you put up 40 points in 36 games, and you also played with Alex Wall there, who would later go
yeah,
on to become a Vienna teammate. So the
yep.
season was also split with a loan spell with the Albany Devils, the AHL, and a spell with the Chicago Wolves. We then went on to have playoff experience, but in the
Mm.
AHL. What was that like? That must have been incredible.
Yeah, that team was so good. Honestly, that Chicago Wolves team. I mean, there's some just big names that were on that team. Guys played in the NHL for a while, successful in Europe. Um, that was just a good team. Craig Berube was our coach. So I actually thought we were going to win the American League that year. We ended up losing to Grand Rapids in, I think, the semifinals. I think it was the semifinals. Could have been the quarters. I'm not exactly sure, but Grand Rapids was solid. I think they probably went on to win it that year, anyways. But that was definitely a different experience because I don't know. I think just the closer you get to the NHL, you just realize how intense it is. But that was a good experience for sure. Learned a lot, and yeah, those games were fun to play in.
So on a personal level, then, so the season previous, you were in the ECHL playoffs with the Wheeling Nailors. Now you've gone to the season after into the AHL
Mhm.
playoffs. How did you feel overall that year went for you on a
My
personal level?
second year,
Second year, yeah,
I thought it was great. I thought developed a lot. I mean, personally, met a lot of great people, great teammates. My wife and I think we were engaged that year. We weren't yet married. I don't know. And so that was a fun year for us too, just kind of about to take that next step to get married. So that was a really fun year. We enjoyed it a lot.
nice. So at that point, you were sort of focused on staying in North America, or did you ever have kind of the idea to move abroad?
No, I thought I played well enough in Chicago to actually kind of be a solid American League player at that point in the AHL. But that was some things happened, and I ended the Wolves were with St. Louis at that point in time, but then St. Louis the next year didn't have an American League team. So the Wolves ended up moving to be with Vegas. And I got invited to go to St. Louis's main camp. Performed really well, actually, that the next
Nice.
before my third year pro. Had a great time, met some great people, had a lot of fun. Um, I actually thought I was going to get a contract from them because they had a couple forwards go down in camp, and I was performing really well. And then they had other plans, and I was, I think, the second guy that was cut, and I did I don't think I should have been, but everything works out the way it's supposed to, and signed with Syracuse,
Yeah.
and but mainly went back to Adirondack that next year, which my wife and I love Adirondack. We love the organization was nice to us. The people were amazing. I had great coaches there, so we were fortunate to fall back into Adirondack again.
Nice. And then you finished. So you mentioned Syracuse and then Adirondack, and then you finished off with the Bakersfield Condors.
Yep. When so my wife was pregnant when we were my third year pro in America, and we were I was up and down a little bit in Syracuse and Adirondack, and Syracuse was they had a really good team that year, a young good team like Anthony Sorelli, Matthew Joseph, who else was on the
Eric
Steve
Cernak.
Mitchell, Steve, yep, Chernak, Stevens. Who else did they have on there? That team in Syracuse had a ton of guys playing the NHL. So it was I was at the bottom of that totem pole. It just wasn't a great fit, and I was mainly in Adirondack. And then my wife was like 34 or 35 weeks pregnant, and the GM called me of Syracuse and told me I'd been traded to Bakersfield. So that's New York to California. And my wife was not thrilled.
Wow.
So that was tough. Left my very pregnant wife to go to California, and while there, I was just trying to ask them, "Hey, can my wife fly out? Can my wife fly out?" And they were not saying yes. They were kind of like, "Hey, look, you're not going to miss the birth of your child. It's okay." And I'm like, "Guys, what 5 hour plane ride away? Like, who knows when this is going to happen?" So I flew back home after a road trip and just flew my wife out. I kind of didn't ask for permission necessarily, and she joined me out in California. And at that point in time, we thought it's a good time to start. Not We didn't want to have a child and be going up and down and traded and everything in North America. So we just said let's go to Europe. Thought about it, prayed about it. We were like let's go to Europe and just kind of maybe try that out. And then we agreed to it and got the ball rolling.
You've just answered my next question, really. I was going to say, what after this season, with all the movement, was it at that point with the AHL, the ECHL, AHL, at that point were you thinking, do you know what? I'm not sure if the NHL call up is ever going to be there. I could go on and have an excellent career out in Europe, and it might offer me, my wife, my kids,
Mm-hmm.
some stability in Europe, and they get to grow up seeing a new culture. Did that have a huge factor into your
Yeah,
decision?
my son Isaiah was born in Bakersfield, and then Peter MacArthur was my teammate in Adirondack. He was my captain, and he introduced me to the agent that I had, and just talking with him, and financially, and then also not having to worry about moving around and getting called up and sent down. It just felt like the right decision. So, gosh, my dog is snoring so loud. There's no way you can't hear that. So when we eventually made the switch, sorry, the decision to
All
go
good.
over there, it was we know we made the right choice. It was we were kind of nervous and scared because we signed with Graz and they were dead last the year before. They were really bad. And actually the three guys after I signed, the three guys who I talked to who played there the year before were basically like, "Don't go there, don't go." And I was like, "Oh, this is not going to be good." But we went there and completely fell in love with it. The city was just so great, such a beautiful, amazing town. Obviously, the country of Austria is just, living there is so unbelievable. It's so nice and clean and just a good quality of life. So we fell in love with it right away and had a really great experience my first year.
I can completely vouch for that. It's just beautiful, beautiful country. Why, like, what was the main reason of Austria? You must have had quite a lot of offers in Europe, I'd imagine.
Honestly, I think Yeah, we prayed a lot about it, and fortunately, we were just kind of blessed with this opportunity where it just worked for us. I was trying to go. I didn't know much about European hockey yet at that stage in my life. So we were kind of talking to some teams in Slovakia, a couple of teams in Czech. We had a couple different places we were talking to in Austria, and it just kind of happened. I don't really know how to explain it. It just they kind of sent a contract, we took it, and that was it. Like we didn't have too many contract offers from that many places yet, so it just we kind of stumbled into it. They offered us, and we took it. So it worked out really well. It just worked.
Did you ever imagine you'd spend 5 years in the country?
No, I did. And like I said, we fell in love with it. For me, I wanted to try to go play in like Switzerland or Sweden or Germany and stuff like that. But we really enjoyed it there, and we had some chances to go to do some different places later on in my career. But we really, really enjoyed Austria, and yeah, I mean, I actually wanted to stay in Graz after my first year there, and they didn't want to sign me back. So after my year there, I had the end of the year meetings, and they said we appreciate it, but we don't want to bring you back for next year. And I was kind of I
Yeah.
was ready to change it up. I was ready to do something different, but my wife and I loved it, and they didn't want to bring us back. So that's when we went to Vienna.
Well, they're lost. Ladies and gentlemen, for those listening, we are going to continue with a part two where we will be going in more depth with Kai's career in Austria. But I just want to touch on a few things before we get into depth with this. I wanted to ask, before you moved to Austria, you've kind of made the decision I'm going to move on from North American hockey.
Mm-hmm.
What do you take from juniors and professional hockey in North America before coming over? What would you say are like the standout moments in your career to that point?
Standout moments. Winning the NCHC in college that first year was really cool. Um, going to the University of Denver was really cool itself. I mean, that was a great experience. I always just wanted to play hockey my whole life, so it was a lot easier to look back on it and kind of see what those moments were. But when I was in it, I was just happy to be playing hockey. Signing my first contract with Wilkes Barre was great. I was a huge Pens fan my whole life, so to be in that system was sweet. Um, Being able to play at the Pens rink for development camp, and I had a really good development camp scrimmage. That was really fun and in front of the fans and everything like that. My wife Bailey. Yeah. It was everything was just a great experience kind of along the way. We just met really good people, and just genuinely had a good. I keep saying good experience, but it just seemed like we were able to kind of have fun each step we took. Um, Adirondack was a great spot. Wheeling was a really a place of characters. Chicago was really fun. Bakersfield was a unique place to be. I think I almost played in every AHL and ECHL rink in America, North America. I probably missed like four or five, so was able to travel around a lot in North America. But to play in college, to play professionally, to get good playoff experience, helped me whenever I went over to Europe because I think I was just ready for that next step of a level playing field in Europe. It didn't really matter. There was no, big club or small. That was your team. So it didn't matter who you were really. If you were performing, you were going to get a chance there. And I was excited and ready for that because it didn't matter really what you've done in the past.
Yeah.
It's just here you are right now, and this is your chance to do it, and that's what matters going forward. So I was really appreciative for that part of my career.
That's nice. Just a couple more quick ones before we end this.
Sure.
And we're going to keep it again. I'm going to keep it in North America. And that are a few cheesy ones. I wanted to ask, so you said yourself you've played in most of the rinks out there.
Mhm.
What was the best rink that you played in for atmosphere?
For atmosphere, oh, Allen in the finals in the ECHL my first year. I don't even think it should be legal what they do. Their fans were allowed to like hang over the glass behind the boards, and they had like these things that would crank. They had bells, they had whistles, they had like horns. It was we had a guy, I think Riley Brace. I think Bracer was like dumping water on the fans behind the bench because they shouldn't have been allowed to do what they were doing. So you couldn't think, you couldn't hear anything. That was insane. Um, I'll always remember, I don't know why, but the Lehigh Valley, whenever we would go play there, the smell of like the candied, like walnuts or candied pecans or whatever, it smelled so good every single time that we went there. So that stuck out to me a lot. Um, and then obviously in college, some of the Minnesota was very cool. North Dakota was awesome. Wisconsin was cool. Just a lot of places had a lot of the college rinks had just had some cool atmospheres.
Nice, I like that. I think it was I've always heard from the past, Toledo Walleye was always a great experience as well.
Yeah, Walleye's great. They've got great fans, good team, so they're always packed there. I played there a couple of times too. That was always a good experience. That was fun.
And my last cheesy question for you is who was the best, again, just North America, who was the best teammate? Who was your favorite teammate? That could be the funniest.
Oh.
That could be just a guy that you enjoy playing with. It can be whatever you wish it to be.
Oh man, I don't even know if I could answer that question. There's so many guys. There were so many good guys that I played with. I don't think I could give one answer. I would have to think about it. I don't know if I could give one answer. I mean, in Wheeling, gosh, we had a great group there, but like Adam Kraus, Derek Army, John McCarron was my roommate. I mean, there were so many good guys. Brett Stern was awesome. There were so many good guys to hang out with there. Wilkes Barre, I mean, Tom Kostopoulos is probably one of the greatest teammates ever. He was a captain there in Wilkes Barre. Dominic Simone was a good friend of mine there. He's still playing in Czech now.
Yeah.
So many names. And then Adirondack, I mean, Pete MacArthur, Mike Bergen, Connor Riley, James Henry. Like there's just such a long
Too
list
many.
of.
Yeah.
There's so many. Yeah, like Chicago Wolves had Brad Malone, who's one of the greatest teammates of all time for teams. Just a long list of really good guys, good teammates. So I couldn't Matthew Brodeur and Adirondack. Just there's too many. There's too many. I couldn't say.
Okay, then my last question, I'm going to add one more in there. And this is probably a really hard one. Who's the most talented player that you played with?
Hmm. Just pure skill or just everything, the best at everything.
The best at everything. You've played with so many great guys, so that's going to be a hard one to
Hmm.
answer.
I'm trying to think. Maybe would it be college? Let me try to think of the teams I was on. I mean, trying to think of those teams. Um, maybe college. That could be Trevor Moore, Danton Heinen, Jason Zucker,
Oof.
Bo Bennett. Bo was so good. He just had a bunch of injuries, but he was incredible. Um, there were some really good guys on those college teams. Um, and the team in Wilkes-Barre was loaded. Scott Wilson, Connor
Yeah.
Sheary, Carter Rowney. Like that team was some. I'm trying to think who the defensemen were that were so good too. But then I said at Syracuse, I mean Anthony Sorelli, Matthew Josephs. Uh, who else was there that year? There's so many. And Chicago Wolves had like Kenny Agostino, Sammy Blaze, who was one of the most skilled guys I've ever seen play. He was so skilled, so smooth. Vince Dunn was a defenseman on that team. I mean, Bennington was the goalie. Billy Huso was the other goalie. But the absolute best player I ever played with, Calvin Pickard was my goalie in
Oh,
Vienna
yeah,
for a little bit.
yeah.
He was there, and he's such a good guy. He's an amazing teammate. Best player I ever played with. I'll say this: the best Austrian player I ever played with. I'll say this. Um, I'll just say Thomas Raffel. because he plays the game like he's a 12-year-old child, and I think it frustrates coaches sometimes. But I mean, our first year we won the championship, he had a between the legs goal against Farivar. Like for him to just do that and score at that moment, like moments just didn't exist for him. He would just do things that it's like he was just out for a skate having fun. So for him to be able to do the things he would do during the moments that he did them was just ridiculous. So for him to do that, such a physical beast. I mean,
Yeah.
the shots, the goals he would score. I think he scored in every probably series clinching championship game he's ever played in. At least it seemed like that watching him play over the last few years. So for Austrian guys, it's got to be him because he could do anything: skate around you, bowl through you, score in a slap shot from the blue line, and never afraid of the moment ever. So he might be. I'll just say for as far as Austrian guys, it's got to be him.
Nice. I like that answer. I was not expecting that either, so that was a fun.
I don't know if I was
There,
expecting that either.
there is one last one. You've played with someone who last night lifted the Stanley Cup for the Florida Panthers.
Hags for Hagee. He was on that team in Syracuse too. Carter Verhaeghe. He played it. He was on that Syracuse team too. Yeah. Totally forgot about that. He was there too. Yeah, he was such a good guy. So nice. Such a nice guy. And he just out and kind of not out of nowhere, but such a good player, then just made it. Like, yeah, totally forgot about that.
There you go. So you got a surreal moment there. You've played with someone from Edmonton and someone from Florida.
Yeah, the hockey world's so connected. It just is. There's so many guys out there that you've played with, and it just keeps going up. But yeah, I've been fortunate to play with some awesome guys.
Well, Ty, that takes us to the end of part one of our interview. I wanted to thank you for your time. It's been excellent having you on, and I enjoy hearing these stories. So thanks, and I look forward to making a part two.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Thanks, everyone at Euro Hockey Hub. Stay tuned, and we'll be bringing part two very soon.